Greetings, distinguished guests. I am Teranz, and welcome back to more Werewolf Heart of the Forest. Last time we trying to remember what happened. It wasn't that long ago. Anyway, we made it to the protest. Working with the protesters, found that the police are basically looking or stopping the reporters from actually reporting because they're basically on the payroll of the loggers. So anyway, the voice of reason. I took a step back and I looked at the bigger picture. I saw the cops. I watched the police as they started to push into the protesters. I could see their face covered in sweat under their helmets. Got any brilliant ideas? Cornell asked me. I grabbed a megaphone. From the hands of a confused young man and jumped on a nearby tree stump. Audio feedback screeched and heads turned my way. I had one chance to take control of the situation. We should focus on what was important. We're all here for a reason, I began. The police have their orders. We want to save the forest. And the press needs a good story. But we have to look at the big picture. I consider my next words carefully. We all understand how this works, I continued, considering my next words carefully. Escalating will only bring more problems. We'll all be here for a long time. Let's take a step back. They looked at me. I could see the same look emerging on the faces of the officers and the protesters. Their eyes narrowed, their jaws tightened. Adrenaline started to laugh. I felt someone grabbing my arm. Someone grabbed me by the arm. I wanted to yank my hand away, but the grip was strong. You'd better go now, said Cornell. We'll take it from here. Ugly truth. Hi. When I was on the road to the village, nobody could see me. I stopped and screamed. A startled flock of birds took off from the trees nearby and filled the air with feathers and movement. In all the commotion, I lost Anya from my sight. I was alone, or so I thought. Hey, are you alright? A voice behind me said, and I jumped. A woman was walking towards me. It was too much. I whispered, all of that. We walked towards the village. We talked. I learned that she was a independent German reporter who'd come here about a month ago. Her name was Erica. So why were you protesting the logging? She asked after a few minutes of small talk. For personal reasons. Came here for personal reasons. I've dropped right into the middle of some eco-guerrilla campaign, I shrugged, and for many reasons my interests are aligned with the protesters. I looked at her, and why are you asking? She looked at me with renewed interest. You know why they're cutting down the trees? She asked. Because you do know that the logging is done by a government company, the state forests? The fuckers, I growled. Politicians are tainted. Hated politicians. I say we take off and nuke them from orbit. I shook my head. Pretty radical, she snorted with laughter, but that'd destroy the forest. Erica reached for a notebook. It all started with the spruce bark beetles. Erica looked in her notes and started to explain the whole situation. That year, the beetles' infestation was of catastrophic proportion, and the foresters decided that the only way to stop it and save the rest of the forest was to cut down as many infested trees as possible. Is cutting down the trees the only way to stop the infestation? I asked, confused. The foresters state that this is the only way, she said. Some biologists argue they are cutting wrong trees and doing it too late to change anything. Couldn't they just maybe they remove the dead trees, the infestation wouldn't spread? I tried to find a solution. They might do that, but dead trees are what make the forest unique, Erica smiled. There are 20 times more species living on a dead spruce tree than on a live one. Was the logging legal? But is the logging legal? I wanted to know. Opinions differ, but such a massive logging in a UNESCO illicit area might be illegal. Do they have to intervene at all? Couldn't they just leave the forest alone and let nature take its course? That's one option, Erica admitted, but there's a drought and no one is sure if the forest would survive on its own. It was infuriating. Why couldn't she just answer my questions? I'll try to understand her point of view. I see that you're trying to show me the whole picture and I appreciate it. I said, I just hope there would be an easy answer. I'm just doing my job, Erica shrugged. I described all aspects of the situation to you, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do. It was a tough decision. I shook my head. Why did this situation always have to be complex? At least I was sure they were cutting down the trees and the forest needed my help. I asked her to stop and listen. Stop for a moment and listen, I asked Erica. We stood there listening to the birds and the wind in the trees. We breathed the smell of the forest. We felt the sun on our faces. That's why I could not let them cut down the trees, I said. She looked skeptical. You're not the only one feeling helpless, she sighed, but anger makes you see things in black and white, and the truth is always more nuanced than that. So what do I do when I feel that something is wrong? I asked, exasperated. Do you believe people can be evil? She asked. Some people are for sure, I shrugged. But isn't that too easy of an explanation? I said nothing. What the matter? She asked. Told her about my anger. So fucking angry at what I saw, I took a deep breath, and then I remembered what Cornell had said, all that mystical stuff. And they said that I have some family debts to pay. I shook my head. It's a lot to take in, and there was that foul smell back there. She looked at me with a weird expression. What smell? She asked. The smell was not the point. Of all the things I told you, you ask about a smell I huffed? I'm trying to understand what's going on here. I think I know what's going on, she answered slowly, but I don't think I should be the one explaining it to you. I looked at her and raised my eyebrows questioningly. She looked hurt. Thought she'd be hurt by my outburst. You'll learn in your own time if you stay here long enough, she said, clearly wanting to drop the topic. I let it go. I shrugged. Cryptic remarks never did anything for me. The situation was complicated enough as it was. I just hoped I hadn't made things worse. Walked in silence. Anya came back soon after me. I lost sight of you, she said apologetically. I'm glad you made it back in one piece. So how was your day? I learned a lot. Did you know the government supported the logging even when it wasn't legal? I shared my dismay. Anya just nodded solemnly. Yeah, I read about it. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you had a lot going on. Met a lot of people. I met some very interesting people, I said, still excited. Yeah, they looked like a colorful bunch. Anya grinned. Maybe you could introduce me later? Sure, they sure are passionate. They argue between themselves more than they argue with the loggers. I had it. Gave a public speech. I mumbled. I'm not sure how it went, but a lot of people listened. You don't waste time, do you? Had to do something, I said. That's all I wanted to share. I shrugged. Just another day in the village. We sat in silence for a while. You know, there's more to see here than the village, Anya said from her travel guide. More places that I can't pronounce. There's something interesting in every village. An open air museum, some kind of folk university. The bison, maybe you'd like to see more than logging. I couldn't. It would be great if I could see everything, but I can't. I shrugged. I want to focus on the logging, even if I'm missing something else. And how's the search for your roots going? Anya couldn't stay silent for long. I shared what I learned. Seems that my ancestors lived around the forest for a long time, I said, and there's some kind of debts to be paid. Well, Anya looked impressed. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think, but if you need something, just let me know. I was tired. I just sat there and looked through the window. The day had been full on and it was exhausting. Didn't notice when I fell asleep. It's quiet now, yet I know deep down inside that something isn't right. I sneak. I'm sneaking through the forest, the logging site. It's getting dark. The light seeps away as though there are millions of tiny punch holes in the sky through which it can escape. And then the darkness starts to pour in. I welcome the darkness. It's thick, oily, snake-like. It wraps around my ankles. It caresses my wrists, then takes my hand and leads me to the site. It's full of maned bodies. They're all trees, fallen trees, still alive, still struggling for air. And there's that stench. I can smell them. The stench is dark, rancid, putrid. There are monsters at the edge of the forest. They have long skeletal arms that are wrapped in glistening black intestines, and each arm has a wide, gaping mandible full of whirling blades. They snap at me blindly. I can feel the forest by my side. Some of my new friends have horns, some have antlers. Their eyes shine in the dark. They are ready. They are furious. I can feel their ancient anger merge with mine. I howl the ancient oaths. I invoke the moon. I spill blood. The spirits of the forest move, and I am with them, biting off heads and tearing off limbs. We are a nightmare come true. Then I wake up. I gasp, bolted upright. I was alone. The sun was setting in this deep red light, and in the deep red light, the room looked like it was bathed in blood. My pillow and duvet were on the ground, and I was sweating bullets. I looked at my legs. When did they become so hairy? I swear I could have shaved them that morning. All right. Fun times. Standoff. Let's start the chapter. I need to talk. I thought about going back to sleep, but I couldn't. Since I had arrived in this village, I felt like I was falling down a rabbit hole, or rather a wolf's den. My dreams were getting more and more vivid, and I was scared. I need to talk with someone I trust. It's Anya from the start. We come here with Anya, and despite all the strange things I'd done, she still stuck with me. I messaged her and she messaged back. I'm on a walk. Come join me. The sun had just set and the moon wasn't up yet. I start walking. The forest loomed on the horizon. The activist camp was somewhere there. We met near a shop in the village. It was a characteristic enough point and easy to get to from anywhere in town. What is it? Anya asked. She looked worried. Something strange is happening to me. I know it sounds crazy, but I think something strange is happening to me. I'm scared, Anya. There is something strange happening. She nodded, but I have no idea what it is. I know even less than you. She frowned. Maybe we should go to your new friends, the activists? She smiled a little bit. They are weird. They must know something. She had the best ideas. I smiled. That's why I came to you. You have the best ideas. She smiled and started walking. Let's go. I'm sure they're not sleeping. Went down to the activists' camp. The camp had a different vibe than the logging site protest. There were more people there. We looked around trying to take it all in. They are coming and coming, Anya laughed, excited. The people in the camp seemed quite cheerful. The smells were intriguing. They were tense. I could smell some bacon in the air. People were milling about, setting up camp, singing, preparing posters. It was a joint effort. I was hungry. My stomach growled. I was hungry. I looked around. I definitely needed to talk to someone about what was going on. About what I felt. I need to see Cornell. Hello, I said as I approached Cornell. As I approached, Cornell smiled at me. Hello, he said. What brings you here? I need answers. I shrugged, dug my hands deeper into the pockets of my jeans. I have so many questions about myself, the forest, the logging. Cornell looked at me with those uncanny gray eyes. I could feel his attention on me. It's okay, he said. Join us. You'll understand. We're here to stop what's happening, to show that we don't agree and we hope to make a difference. Will it work? Will it work, I ask? I don't know. All I know is that it worked before, it worked for Gandhi, it worked with segregation and apartheid in the end. It worked with communism. So let's see if it works with capitalism as well. Violence is not an option here. He smiled, and I think you know quite well that anger doesn't really get shit done. I knew that. I smiled back. Somehow being around him made me feel more relaxed. I know you can count on me, I answered. I had a family debt to pay, and I couldn't just be an observer anymore. So we have a little citizens protest going on tonight. But I'll need your support if you want to convince the others. They all want to do something that night, but after a whole day's discussion, they're still divided on what to do. 3 for one option, 3 for the other. I had the deciding vote. Let's try peaceful protest. Activist. Alright. I voted for the peaceful protest as soon as we were on our way to the National Park headquarters and education center. We had some banners to install. Anya tags along. This is so exciting, Anya whispered. I've never done anything so illegal. Soon we were there. Man, I kind of feel bad for Anya, depending on how things end up going. Sorry. Where are we at anyway? Okay. Oh, all right. As we were on our way, I realized that in reality, my methods were much more peaceful than my words had been. I shrugged. You live and you learn. National Park headquarters were located in something called Palace Park. The name, like everything else, everything in Poland was historical. Centuries ago, some king had his hunting lodge there, but now it was a mishmash of old and new buildings scattered around the park. Some were rough and bulky, made of stone and brick, while others were an extravaganza of wooden porches, lace-like shutters, and meticulously sculpted pillars. There was no one around, but the area was well lit. I need to be careful. Take a look. So we are very spiritual, pretty analytical, kind of brave and inspiring, not so cunning. So all the relationships we have. All right. This wasn't your everyday act of vandalism. This was something bigger, more important, yes, but also more dangerous. Getting arrested in Poland didn't seem like a great way to start my visit. On the contrary. In fact, it could be the end to it. Suddenly I remembered the church located just next to the Palace Park gate. I could feel its dark silhouette looming in the darkness, waiting. We were ready. I spent the whole day painting the sign on a length of material sewn together from what looked like old sheets that were various shades of grayish white. The dark green letters declare, "Wood is the enemy of the forest." Where do we hang it? Asked Danny, who'd come equipped with climbing gear. Never mind as long as... Oh. Colonel joined him and they started deliberating on the best way to approach the problem. Sure, take your time. We have the whole night. It's not like anyone might pass by any minute. I hurried them. Doesn't matter, Olga said, because hanging the banner is a waste of time. I looked at her, curious what kind of advice she could offer. I let her talk. Olga looked at me as though she expected me to say something, but I didn't take the bait. It's a great banner, and I'm sure it'll look good on the pictures published by a number of independent political blogs. She looked at Cornell. But it's stuck so deep in the overeducated ecological dispute that people won't get it and the loggers won't care. Cornell sighed and shook his head. Don't get involved with him, said Pat, leaning towards me. What was that about? What are you talking about? I asked, a bit distracted. She had a weird expression on her face. I think where am I at? I didn't get it. What was her relationship with Cornell anyway? Never mind, she said. Really, it's just you won't be here long. All the more reason to get. That's why I should get involved. I laughed. See no point in pretending I don't care about the situation. She looked at me, opened her mouth like she was just about to say something. Then just let it out a long sigh. Finally, we pulled the banner up. It's an important message. Anya looked up with fire in her eyes. The world must know. I looked at the banner. I was proud of our work. When we finished, Colonel gathered us together. I was proud of what we accomplished, and I contributed to that. Whatever my family had done, I was starting to pay back the debt. Cornell reached for his bicycle. Let's go for a trip, he said, to remind ourselves what we're trying to protect. Alright, I think this is a good place to call the episode. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.